All right, welcome to episode 4 of the IBL Podcast. I'm your host, Pony Rocket League. I'm joined today by DigTV. Hello, DigTV.
Hello, IBL Podcast. It's me, DigTV.
I'm also joined by SuitSnap. Hello, SuitSnap.
Hello, PonyRL, and hello, other podcast
Yes.
listeners.
Hello, listeners. Subscribe to the new IBL YouTube channel below and turn on notifications for
Whoa.
IBL Plays of the Week and podcast.
W plug.
Yes. You got to put in that call to action. You have to put in that call to action. How will the new viewers know to subscribe if you don't tell them to subscribe?
Did you know that 90% of IBL Podcast listeners aren't subscribed to the YouTube channel?
You can just subscribe and, you can always change your mind later. It's totally free.
Totally free.
Totally
Anyway,
free.
without as much ado as we've already given, let's get right into week 2 action. We started off on Monday with Infrared versus Thunder.
Infrared versus Thunder. What a banger to start this week. I have a lot of first-hand experiences with the games from week 2, as I do with a lot of games this IVL season. This was a really cool game to not only watch, but also just be a part of. Thunder's first win on the season, Infrared's first loss in the season. Infrared, let me look at the team standings right now. As of recording, Infrared is currently 3-1. This is their only loss. Thunder arguably was considered the worst team in the league, pulling a victory against one of the arguably placed best teams in the league to get a win in the win column for them. Infrared just didn't really play this game as well as they could. Thunder played perfectly, having some great clutch moments, especially from Cyanide on Slay. And just another 21 rounder. This is the second 21 rounder in IBL history, I believe. And it was just perfect. Early contender for Game of the Year, obviously, and it was just really good all around.
I have to say I disagree with the statement that Thunder is probably on the. I mean, you could argue it's on the weaker end of the scale, but I don't know if I'd say it's the weakest B League. And I'm not
Yeah,
gonna say ones I think are, but I feel like when you're looking at like such experienced rosters like Snowy, Froggy, and others on that team, as well as like a decent couple fraggers like the new rookies, Weezy Moss, MJ Gold, etc. I do feel like this is maybe a game that has showed us what they are capable of more than like what their limit is.
I definitely agree. I wouldn't myself put Thunder as the worst team in the league. I've teamed with a couple of these players. A couple of them are proven. A lot of them are proven. Zabraze and Infrared getting to finals last season. Socronix semifinals. Snowy and Froggy, a well-known duo, winning B League in season 2. Cyanide, a player since season 1, and obviously Weezy Moss and MJ as rookies. So there's a lot of experience on the squad. I wouldn't put them personally at the bottom of the league, and that was just a really good win for them to get over Infrared.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've been like really impressed by Dippy Dab this season. He's really taking Infrared to new heights.
I agree. I think Dippy Dub is a good acquisition for them.
Also, a really good performance from Event How to 4, I'll be honest. Playing, I think, a lot fewer maps, but like I'm pretty sure like they were subbing out quite regularly, and it was still able to put up 10, which is like considering how well Dippy was playing, being able to match that in some aspect when Bet, who also played, I think all 3, was
Yeah,
also only getting 10. I feel like it was a not necessarily a standout performance, but definitely one to take note of.
definitely. And I mean, you can look at the statistics as well. It really doesn't even look like Thunder should have won this game by any means. They had one player go positive in the whole game. That was Cyanide going 6-4, and the 2 top frags of the game being Dippy Dab and Event. Dippy Dab 19-11 and Event 10-8. Just really good games from them. Thunder was just able to clutch it out in crunch time and come away with it in the end.
Absolutely.
All right, and then we can move right along to Sugar Rush versus Fist Fight.
But this was Fistfight's debut match, was it not?
It
I
was,
believe it
yes.
was.
Yeah. This was definitely a team that, like, close combat had a lot to kind of live up to, or not necessarily live up to, a lot to prove because of how rookie heavy it was. And then you've got, I think Mogus hasn't played in like 2-3 seasons, and Dudachu been on the bench for a couple of seasons after owning Talon. So there was definitely, I wouldn't say favor for Fistfight, and I think they've put up a better show than what a lot of people might have expected from them, especially against how well-rounded Sugar Rush has appeared to be. I mean, you've got a lot of like mechanical and utility skill on that team, especially with arguably the best B-League healer in Valoof. Is a team it's quite a formidable foe, I think you could say.
I would agree. I would say, like, this is a good showing from Fistfight. I mean, both of the map losses were 4-2, 4-2. They had a lead in map 2, up 2-1. And Sugar Rush, I know, in my opinion, is one of the strongest teams in the league. They have experienced players, valuable rookies. I would say Valoof is also definitely a top healer in the B League. Played with her in Season 3. She was really good. She's only gotten better at being an IGL and, improving game sense. And I mean, she's been with the same franchise her entire career, and it's starting to work out. And I'm happy for Party Animals. I'm happy that they're able to. Hopefully, they break the curse that unfortunately that franchise slot has had. The finals losses in Season 1, and then playoff losses in Season 2, and then the mishaps that were Season 3 and 4. So I'm excited to see Sugar Rush and as well as Party Animals continue.
Concur.
All right, then the next game on our schedule, the last on that Monday, was Goth Money versus Shot Glass.
Another really close game for Goth Money. They did get swept on map 1. I think it's going up 3-0, losing a round, and then winning map round 5. That's, I don't know. Or is Gentleman Sweep like losing round 1 and then sweeping before? I don't know. They won map 2 4-1, lost map 3 in 7 to Shot Glass. A really good win for Shot Glass, a really unfortunate loss for Goth Money. Goth Money is now 0-3 on the season, and all 3 of their losses have been really close. Shot Glass is 1-2, not looking the best like we've seen in past seasons for Shot Glass. But this was a very good win for them. It showed that they can win in the clutch, in crunch time, when they absolutely need them. Tan having a really good game. Dogged and Packers are a really good duo. They had really good games. And then Kipler's also having a really good game for Goth Money. Their only positive player. And yeah, just good games from both of these teams. It honestly could have gone either way. And yeah, it was cool to see Shot Glass get a win. It was unfortunate to see Goth Money take the loss. But I do think, even though Goth Money are 0-3, I think they definitely have what it takes to piece together some wins later in the season and potentially make a playoff run. I know you look at 0-3 and you think it's this insurmountable deficit to face, but we're still only in week 2. There's a lot of games left to play. There's 12 games left to play for Goth Money. They could, if they win 8 or 9 games, that can be enough to get them into the playoffs. They just need to lock in, focus on the next one, and not focus on the heartbreaking losses that they've had. For Shot Glass, though, they're just kind of looking to keeping on, piece together some wins, and just make it back to playoffs. They won Season 3, made it back to playoffs in Season 4, and I know personally from speaking to Tan, he's really hungry to get back into playoffs and keep it pushing.
It's the third game in a row, rather, and 100% rate that Goth Money have pulled through to map 3 and lost it. So I don't know if it's their nerves or it's just an unfortunate coincidence, but to lose out 3 times in a row on the third map must, I feel, be devastating, because it's evident that they're capable of winning these games. I mean, in this Goth Money Shot Glass game, they were 1 round away, and just being that close to a win after 2 unfortunate ones, I feel, is unfortunate for Goth Money, but definitely gives them maybe a hope that they might be able to capitalize that on a future game and actually get those wins on the board, because they're definitely a capable team, and I think large improvement from the Droogs last season, or whichever one, Warriors, but just need to get off the ground and get some momentum going. And Shot Glass, I feel like this is also, it was a good opportunity for them to get off their feet. They've got a lot to live up on, in these past 2 seasons, they've been a very dominant B League, and with bring back a lot of that core energy that they had in the previous seasons, as well as like gaining some new rookies. It definitely gives me a lot of hope for what we'll see in this season. And I think this is the beginning of that. And on paper, they're a very strong team, and it's nice to see them actually live up to that reputation, I guess.
Yeah, like Shot Glass, I feel like since really their entirety of being a team have always had expectations. Kind of the tavern, regardless, is, at least in my opinion, known as a relatively successful team. 3 playoff appearances in a row for both A League and B League, 2, 3, and 4. And they're kind of a classic team when you think about it. At least they have been in the past, picking players that, like in the A League last season, picking players from their B League and developing them and putting them in the A League, and they went 10-8 and made playoffs. Doing the same thing this season by putting Red 2 and Today's in the A League and bringing back certain players previously from their franchise. And this branding and way of going about playing the game and constructing their teams is very unique, and I honestly really like it. Like, it's worked for them in the past, back-to-back finals, winning season 3, and I feel like just keeping on what they're doing and just continuing to just get better as the season continues can definitely work for Shot Glass.
No, I absolutely agree. Like I said, I think they've got potential, and they've shown they're capable of living up to it. It's just repeating this, proving that a win isn't a fluke for them. It's something they're capable of doing.
And then next on the schedule on that Tuesday, we started off with Divine Rising versus the Arcane.
This is it was quite a clean cut game from Divine Rising. I'd say so, at the very least. Got MGL Swagger, primed
Yes.
once again, went 2-1 on that map. But it was definitely, very clean 4-0 from the relatively green Arcane roster this season. They had Kara and Crunchy, but for the most part, it was a pretty new experience in the A League for that team. Obviously, they've played a couple of games before, but still, a very dominant showing from Divine Rising. Apple going 12-3, which is kind of a crazy 4 KD, but it's definitely really well played from Divine Rising. 8-2 is not something that you easily get, especially in the A League. So just a pretty clean, decisive win from them.
Yeah, just clear cut. Well played. Apple, another just statement game. Jason having a really good game. I know Jason hasn't had the greatest games, so this is just a good game for Jason to get in. Every player on Divine Rising going positive, and yeah, just well played from everyone on the Divine Rising side. Arcane as well. It's just everything was clicking for DR.
All right. Then next game on the schedule, we head back to the B League where we had Donut Droppers versus Infrared.
Infrared. This is a really good bounce back win for Infrared. It's the first game they played after the Thunder loss. Donut Droppers, arguably a really good team. I just think in this game, I believe I casted this game as well. I forget, but Infrared were just everywhere. Donut Droppers really couldn't do much, unfortunately, for them. They looked a little bit lost, and Infrared was just fully taking advantage of that. Especially on Spaceship, there was a lot of kind of like mishaps going on for Donut Droppers, and Infrared was just everywhere, able to take advantage of a kind of floundering Donut Droppers team. But, obviously it wasn't the end of the world for Donut. And yeah, I don't really have much else to say. It was just well played from Infrared and just a good bounce back game for him.
Great. It's obviously a bit of a biased opinion for me. I think they've definitely, in other games, shown that they're capable of more, but still really well played from the Infrared roster. I can't deny an 8-2 loss. That's just a very clean game from them as well.
This is true.
All right, then moving right along, we had Femme Fatales versus Divine Rising.
This was a really tough match to watch because it felt like there were so many rounds where Femme could have won, and they just didn't get that final little bit. So many times that lost them that even a 2-map loss, getting to a round 7 against a team like Divine Rising is not something to scoff at, and also getting to a round 6 against them, but just not being able to get past that final bit to actually get the map wins that you need to win the game. And I feel like it showed that, I don't know, maybe Femme are not the bottom of the barrel team that some people treat them as, but they still have things to work on. Also, a great game from Fornardvark. MGL Swagger, 10-3.
Yeah, Fawn being a free agent pickup after market for Divine Rising definitely is showing out for them in their wins. And I didn't personally watch this game, so I can't really comment on it too much. But just looking at the stats, it is really cool to see Behavior top fragging that game. I know Behavior is she's definitely not the same Behavior that we all know and love, the first ever IBL player in history, but it is really cool to see her at the top. And Femme, I definitely don't think Femme is a bottom team in the league. I think they definitely have the players to string some wins together and get back into the playoffs. I know it's been a little minute for them, but they just need to get some games under their belt, figure out an identity for themselves, and try and piece together some wins and piece together some momentum. They showed it, from what you said, Suit. They showed it in this game. Just looking at the stats, it's hard to get to round 7. It's hard to get to round 6, and they just unfortunately couldn't put it together this time around. But if they can figure it out and continue it on, we can see Femme later on in the season piecing together some wins. I wouldn't be surprised to see them in the playoffs this season.
It was really cool to see Divine Rising pull this win off. I feel like Divine Rising is a team that everyone thinks, oh, it's Apple, and then there's everyone else. And it's just impressive to see them pull off a win against a good team when Apple's not performing at her best, and other team members are able to pull that weight as well. So that was very interesting for me.
Yeah, Apple actually bottom fragging this game, which is kind of crazy. She still went 5-4. That's a solid KD, but just everyone else was also able to pull their weight. It's just cool to see that. I'm happy for my boy Sniper. That's my goat right there.
Hell yeah. And then we skip Wednesday. No games on Wednesday. Sad. We go right to Thursday, where we started off again with Thunder, but this time versus Eclipse.
All right, a good game for actually both of these teams. Thunder off the great win they had against Infrared. Not a good map 1. They lost 4-1. Map 2 started off great, starting up 2-0, but Eclipse took a timeout and then swept them after the timeout. Thunder, they came, a closer than others have before to winning games, I guess. That's one way to put it. But Eclipse, this was a good bounce back game for them after their loss to Arcane Academy. They lost 8-1 to Arcane Academy. And I mean, you look at this Eclipse team and you're like, wow, they lost 8-1 to Arcane Academy. Arcane Academy is a good team, but this Eclipse team is, in my opinion, very sleeper. I said it in some of the games that I've casted with them, and I feel like they just need to figure out what they're doing and who they are. This Eclipse team, you just look at them and you're like, holy shit, this is a melee team. They're going to run you down. They're going to kill you. And that is what they did in the Thunder game, if I remember correctly. Tyler's Vibin leading the charge just in general and leading this game with a 13-7 KD. Just like, you look at Tyler, he's a proven player. He was an A-leaguer last season, had a pretty good season. Now he's in the B-League. And I just think Eclipse needs to figure out really what they want to be this season. Do they want to be a more strategical team like Nova has been in the past? Or do they want to actually just be this sword team that runs you down and kills you?
I agree. I mean, it's their first win on the board, which is always a nice thing to get after a pretty tragic defeat against Arcane Academy. But like I said, I think this is definitely Eclipse wants to prove that they are capable of something, and if you look at the people that are playing for them, they're absolutely like capable players. It's just put, like you said, putting those things together, making something work, which is what they've done here.
For sure.
All right, then after that game, we had Fist Fight versus Eternal Rising.
Ooh, I don't know where to start with this game. I mean, 2 back-to-back fills, rounds 1 and 2, from the same team. Is just kind of a funny thing to look at. Obviously, Watermill is very much like that. But I think it was just an overall dominant showing from what is looking to be a very capable Eternal Rising roster this season, which is impressive considering how much rookie talent is in that team. I mean, you've got Ning, Lafuri, Sandals, and Burb, and yet they're all showing up and proving like it's not just people who've been playing in the IBL constantly that know how to like win games.
I agree. I feel like the ER, if you look at ER this season compared to last, it is very different. Last season, they went for a more experienced play, and this time they're going for a more, fuck it, rookie time sort of play. And I mean, it's working. They're being led by Wrecked by John, an experienced player playing. This is his 3rd season in a row. If I remember correctly, Impulse season 3, Eclipse season 4, now ER season 5. And this is just a dominant showing from ER. Fistfight is a team that intrigues me because I feel like they can be really underestimated, and I feel like there is going to be a team later in the season that does severely underestimate Fistfight, and they are going to get like fully 8-0 or 8-1 swept. And it's just going to be like, what the heck just happened? It's like Fistfight, I feel like they do have what it takes to piece together some wins. It doesn't look like the strongest team, but if they can definitely be underestimated. It's honestly just going to depend on how well Landon can continue to be. We know Landon is a very proven player, and as well as how well the newer players and players coming back into the league can continue to play.
All right, then we had a highly anticipated game. We had Serpentine versus Impact.
Serpentine Impact. This was a game I was really looking forward to. Serpentine and Impact have a lot of history together. I won't get too much into it, but this was just absolute dominance from Impact in an 8-0 full sweep. And I really wasn't expecting that. I know this, in my opinion, isn't the strongest Serpentine roster that we've seen in seasons past, but also, in my opinion, this isn't the strongest Impact roster we've seen in seasons past. But they are showing that it doesn't really matter. We don't need the MVP. We're gonna make a new MVP. I think Zenrul's literally leading the A League right now. Like Impact might have back-to-back MVPs. It's very that could happen. Impact is the best roster or one of the best rosters in the league. They have the best record in the league at 4-0, and this was just a really good win for them. Serpentine, they had a couple good moments. It just weren't able to piece together any round wins, and Impact were just able to capitalize on everything.
I agree completely. I mean, these past couple seasons, Impact have just been falling short of those chances at the ring each time. And this season they're going, we're not going to have the same thing. And they're killing all these teams with like these giant reputations, like Serpentine, which is renowned. Like since season 1, it's the only team that's been going. I'm pretty sure, apart from Hang Ten. Actually, that's a lie. And they've been performing dominantly since then. And Impact is showing up and going, this is our season now. We are capable of just a dominant performance against such a renowned team.
All right, then our last game on Thursday was Donut Kingdom versus Close Combat.
Donut Kingdom versus Close Combat. It was a very interesting game for me to watch. I know that these are 2 teams that I know have been scrimming against each other quite a lot. Zin, Close Combat, obviously a team in the A-League completely comprised of rookies is a rough thing for them to kind of uphill battle on. And it was impressive for them to get those round picks against a team such as Zone Kingdom. Find those chips in their armor and try and whittle them down. Although it wasn't enough, it was still an attempt that can't be looked down on against one of the teams that was most likely to win the league this season. So I think it again has those sparks of something more that they're just missing the rest of. But I mean, on the side of Donut Kingdom, it's hard for them to ever really not do well. I mean, imagine that there'll be a couple games this season where they will. But I mean, at 11 kills, 10 kills, 10 kills in 10 rounds is just against for 3 people. It's just kind of crazy, both the spread and the control that they had in the game.
This game was interesting. I do agree with what you said, Sue, that it is really cool that, it was really good that Close Combat was able to piece together some round wins, especially on trenches. You look at Close Combat and you see a team of rookies, and it's like, ooh, it is interesting to kind of see how they're going to play and see what they're going to do. And I mean, it didn't work here. I don't think Close Combat is going to go winless. I really hope they don't. I don't know if playoffs is in the cards for them, and I know that I'm saying that really early. I hope, please prove me wrong, Close Combat. That would be really cool to see a full team of rookies in the playoffs. That hasn't happened since season 1, I'm pretty sure. That'd be really cool when everyone was a rookie. So it would be really cool. I just think Donut Kingdom is a very capable team. This is one of the stronger teams they've had in a while. A full 4, they're only using 4 players. And I mean, they have 2 S tiers in Eevees and Brunted, and 2 really good players backing them up in Black Sean and Bamsey. Bamsey, season 2 MVP, rookie of the year, almost got 200 kills. This Donut Kingdom team was obviously too much for Close Combat. Close Combat, I feel like they can definitely have what it takes to get some wins, but unfortunately was unable to put really much together against Donut Kingdom.
All right, moving right along, we got into our Friday game action with the Arcane Academy versus the Shinjikeito.
All right, this game was really good. I really enjoyed this game. It was so interesting. Arcane Academy are a very interesting team. They love mid, man. They love mid. Mid is their thing this season. But even though mid is their thing, they are a capable, aggressive team as well. And this was just a very good showing from Arcane Academy. It was a very good showing for Shinjikeito as well. Shinjikeito coming back 3-1 on map 1. I literally predicted exactly what they were going to do, and they did exactly what they should have, which is start playing as a team, and they did just that. Arcane Academy, very mid-focused, as I've said, and it worked for them here. It's worked for them in the past. It's going to continue to work for them in the future. And Shinjikeito were just close. I mean, it was 7-6-6. This was a 19-rounder. It was really close. Shinji was just unable to put anything together in the end. But still just well played. It was Delphini legacy game, top fragging, going 18-10. I think he had 2-3 Ks. Did not get the ace because ace stolen twice. I think one of them actually got filled on, which was kind of funny. Sorry, Delphini, for making you relive your trauma. But really good game from Shinji. Really good game from Arcane, and it was just well played.
No, absolutely. This is also where we start to see the most likely candidate for B-League Rookie of the Year in Awesome really starts to piece together that reputation he has in the event space. I mean, 16-7 against a team as experienced as Shinjikeito. I mean, all of them have played at least one season beforehand, and he's rocking up. And in his first couple of games, dropping that shows that Arcane Academy are really a force to be reckoned with. And also, if you look in their stat line below, all of his support characters are really capable. I don't know I call them characters. All his supported teammates are really capable. So I think they're definitely a team to keep an eye on this season. And Shinjikeito, I mean, I feel like the loss doesn't give them enough credit. There are a lot of rounds where it was really close, and just the domination from Dolphini this game was insane to watch live.
All right, then the next game we had on our schedule was Nova versus Serpentine.
This was a game that, for the most part, it was just unclear who was going to win until that final round. I feel like both of them were capable of winning either map. It was just, especially with Kabelek being asleep, I think it was unfortunate for Serpentine, and it meant that they didn't quite have that regular roster that they might have needed to win that game. Not to say that Comaswells didn't put an effort. I mean, being a B League call up and top fragging is, reminds me of Visions in, I think, season 3, but it's definitely not anything to scoff at against a team like Nova. Obviously, got Luxury's clip farming on Watermill with that cheeky little 1v2. But yeah, I think with just minor adjustments, it could have gone either way, and it is again like a bit of a crushing loss for Serpentine. But I don't think it's to say that they're completely a shell of what they used to be. But it also was a really well played game from Nova, especially with their rookies coming in full force.
Yeah, this definitely isn't as strong of a Nova team that we've seen. Losing a player like Gizzy Mizzy is very difficult. That is the only player that they've lost, but he's literally like the GOAT healer. Like he's an S tier, he's the best healer in the A League. Helped them win, helped them get to finals in season 3, helped them win in season 4. Like he is just very good at the game. Call it Glaze, it's a fact. And Nova are definitely feeling his absence in this season, but this was a very good win for them against Serpentine. Against Serpentine not having Kabellik, but they were still able to make this a very close one, losing in 7 in map 1 and then losing in 6 in map 2. It's just a nice attempt from Serpentine. Serpentine just facing, honestly, a relatively hard beginning of the season for them. I can definitely see them having a mid to late season comeback and making playoffs. Serpentine and playoffs just kind of go hand in hand. And I'm really intrigued to see how Nova continues going through the season as well.
All right, then the next game we had on our schedule, we had Ultraviolet versus Lotus.
Oh, Ultraviolet versus Lotus. This game was so funny. I loved this game. It could have been so much more cinema if Lotus was able to get round wins that they were supposed to. Like map 2 Slay should not have been a sweep. Like Lotus should have had at least 2 round wins. This was a really funny game. It's an 8-1 loss for Lotus, but it definitely doesn't feel like an 8-1 loss. It's a really good win for Ultraviolet. And UV just in general is a very strong team led by, hey, Gizzy Mizzy, taking Sherpa from Syndicate and then Rotom and E-Prince, who just went to Season 4 finals. This team is very capable. That's a really good starting 4. Gizzy, Prince, Sherpa, and Rotom. Sherpa, previous S tier, Gizzy, a current S tier, and then Prince and Rotom, very capable players. Lotus intrigue me because they feel like they should be good, and we have not seen pretty much anything besides this from them this season. They have Cat, Alex, Kippy, Skate, and Biker. I know personally from talking to Biker, he's improved a lot. Skate is always a good option to have in the A-League. Kippy's coming back from retirement. I don't think he's played. I know he didn't play Season 4. I don't remember if he played Season 3 or not. I don't think he did. So he hasn't played since Season 2. This is his first game back from the Season 2 championship I'm pretty sure.
I will correct.
Right?
Kippy played on Syndicate and Tavern in Season 3.
Okay. I don't know if he retired or not. Or if he
he did.
mid-Season 3. So he retired mid-Season 3.
I think so.
I mean, Kippy just, it's been a minute since he's been in the box. and these are where his homies are. He's going to play with his homies. Notable as well, Lotus did not have Alex because his internet was boofing. They did not have Cat's on vacation or something, and that's another reason why all the Lotus games are delayed. But regardless, I think this was just a fun game to watch. It definitely did feel like an 8-1, and if I'm Lotus, I wouldn't put my head I wouldn't put my head too down. I definitely think Lotus is sleeper this season. Same thing with their B League and Goth money. Playoffs could be in the card, or it's just too early to call for a team like Lotus that's kind of unproven. And yeah, that's really all I have to say.
I think it's definitely not a debut game that you want to have, but like you said, I don't think it really means they're out of contention at this point. Obviously, not having arguably two of their best players in Alex and Cat is unfortunate, but you have to move. You have to think of the next game. And whilst I think there are definitely mistakes made by Lotus, like jumping off the middle of Slay to get the kill, when you don't have time to fill because of it, it's not necessarily over for them if they can recognize these mistakes and improve upon them.
All right. Well, then we get to our first game of the weekend of week 2. We had Party Animals versus Serpentine.
This was a very well played game from Party Animals, especially after losing 4-0 on your own map pick. To keep your head up, to think this is still winnable, and then to win pretty convincingly in the next few maps against a team that is arguably as strong as Serpentine is a really well played performance from them. And I'm very much looking forward to see what they have in this season. I think it's a very well-rounded roster that's capable of maybe more than people give it credit for.
For sure. This is a really good win for Party Animals. They got swept in map 1, and then won map 2 and 6 and map 3 and 5. It's just a good bounce back win for Party Animals after losing their first game where Ciano put up the regular season kill record in top fragging. And another heartbreaking loss for Serpentine. But just well played from Party Animals in this one.
All right. Well, then our next game on that Saturday was Hang 10 versus Nova.
Hang 10 Nova, a historical matchup by now. This is just another Hang 10 versus Nova game for the ages, I suppose. Hang 10 just, I guess, has Nova's number. With the 8-4, 2-0 victory over them. Just good game all around from Hang 10, and Nova had a solid game as well. It just was not enough. Their pumpkin patch for Hang 10 was really good. They picked it first. I was a little like, okay, interesting, pumpkin patch. And they just played it really well. Twitchy was literally invincible, and Twitchy and Ant was just a really good duo on the Levy side, which would be the right side for Hang 10, where they levy up onto the little box area. They were just unstoppable, and Duzum was landing every single shot and just had a really good game himself. Nova definitely tried. This was just Hang 10 just had their number today. Hang 10 just had their number in that game. And it was a good win for Hang 10 to bounce back from their first loss of the season. I know from Duzum, in the interview he did after, he literally said after the loss to Ultraviolet, he was literally like, are we really that bad? He was feeling doubt. They had a good scrim before the Nova game, and then they had the game against Nova where they started to build up confidence again. T-Snaz having a really good game, going 14-6. Definitely deserving of... T-Snaz is an S tier, right? He's still up there?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought
Somehow.
so. T-Snaz, showcasing that he's deserving of that S tier. And Duzum is obviously the GOAT. And then Twitchy and Ant doing really good as well.
No, absolutely. On the docket, it doesn't look like this is Hang 10's game to win, but I think it's both indicative of the comeback performance that Hang 10 capable after their previous season, and also how much of just hole that Gizzy has left in Nova. I think it's cool now on heels, and I think just the combination of not having someone as experienced, as well as losing just the magic that Cool can work when he's not having to think about, healing his teammates, is an unfortunate predicament for Nova that I think they'll probably try and think about going forward.
All right. Then the last game on Saturday, we had the Sirens versus Serpens.
I mean, it was certainly an interesting game. It was 8-0. You could argue it could have been 8-1, but Sparky had other words to say in a I just hit my tip. But Sparky had other things to say in a complete mosh 1v4 that was, both capitalizing on the Sirens' mistakes, but also just incredibly well played from him, which is not something yet to see. I think it might be the first B League 1v4, but I might be wrong.
I
And
think so, yeah. The first
it's
B League
just
savior.
incredibly well played from the Serpens against a team that is still just struggling to find a footing.
Yeah, obviously Serpent's taking advantage of facing a weaker team like the Sirens. Sparky getting the savior ace. And just a well put together game from them. Not really much to say from Serpentine besides just very dominant. Sirens are still trying. They're trying to get back to that season 3 glory that they had, reaching playoffs, and they got to take it game by game, round by round. And unfortunately for them, Serpents were just ready for them. I am intrigued to see Sirens this season. I do think they're going to perform better than they were last season. And Serpens, in my opinion, are a good team. I think I think they have what it takes to definitely make playoffs. Serpens for the past couple seasons have struggled with just like keeping the same roster for 3 seasons in a row, and it hasn't really worked, and didn't work in season 3, it didn't work in season 4, and they kept roughly the same roster. There are a lot of changes to the Serpents roster this time around. Adding Sparky is that's always a good decision in my opinion. Season 4 finalist, season 4 All-Star champ in the B League, and he definitely proved it in that game. But yeah, just well played from Serpents, well played by Sirens too. They tried. You cannot fault them there. And I'm just intrigued to see how Sirens are going to bounce back, and I'm intrigued to see how Serpents are going to continue through with the season.
All right. Then we had the last game, or the last day of week 2. That Sunday we had Hang Plus 10 versus Eclipse.
This was another good game for Hang Plus 10. They've had a couple of them now. Hang Plus 10 is a very good team this season. And Eclipse showed a little bit of improvement this time around against another good team in Hang Plus 10, getting to round 7 in map 1. They did lose 2-0, though, unfortunately for them. Eclipse, in my opinion, in this game, still struggling with a little bit of team synergy issues. It was a lot better this time around. They're an aggressive team. Hang Plus 10 is an aggressive team. Hang Plus 10 was just able to be more dominant this time around. Zolved, obviously leading the charge, going 11-1 in one map, and kind of just setting the pace for a clear, concise Hang 10 victory.
I want to point out the standout performance from Zolved, 11-1. Not just getting the 11 kills, but also only dying once is just as impressive. I think Eclipse have a lot to learn from this loss, but again, it shows signs of something more, that they should be able to capitalize on those future games. But also just an evident performance from Hang Plus 10 of how capable their roster is this season. You've got HG Smalls, probably the brains of the operation, a very well-informed and mechanical player, I think on heals. And D95, Sage, Yeetus, Zolved, all very capable fraggers. I think they play off each other very well, and it'll be interesting to see how they go on this season.
All right, then to round us off for week 2, last game we had Close Combat versus Nova.
I mean, there's once again signs of Close Combat being a team that is capable of more. But especially with, Kitty Dragon seemingly leading up the helm, but there's just not enough yet. I mean, 8-4 loss against a partially weakened Nova. It's unfortunate. HV Buddy played very well for them. B-League call-up. I think you could definitely tell that Cool was off heels this game, going 9-5. So I think it might be indicative of more to come. But right now, I think this game was quite open and shut. If not, maybe close combat, able to claw back a couple more rounds than people may have expected from them.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Close combat were definitely stronger in this game. Piecing together some more rounds. Again, like you said, it is a weaker Nova team, but it is still a very good Nova team. Cool is, his presence off of heels is definitely noticed with this top frag. And it's interesting putting Cool on heels. I mean, that's arguably their best player. But I mean, who else are you putting on heels, I guess, in the situation that Nova has currently? But close combat, again, just a rookie team unable to close it out. And again, I just talked about close combat recently. I'm just interested to see how they're going to continue going on through the season and what they can do to piece together some wins, get on the board.
All right, with the week 2 action all wrapped up, I was wondering if either of you had any key takeaways from week 2's action.
Not really, to be honest. It's my previous thoughts that I have are kind of starting to be cemented into play. Obviously, some of them are switching a little bit, and I'm being pleasantly surprised. But overall, I can come up with, I see a certain team and I see, okay, that's going to happen, and this is going to happen, and then 90% of the time that happens and this happens, and I'm like, okay, cool, I was right. And my thoughts are kind of being cemented a little bit, but I am being pleasantly surprised. Like I said, I wasn't expecting Impact to be as good as they are, and they're 4-0 and being absolutely dominant. I certainly wasn't expecting Thunder to upset Infrared, and they had a fantastic game over them. And, I'm just intrigued to see the rest of how this season's going to play out.
No, I agree. I don't think there was many particular upset games, but there were definitely ones to watch. And I think, in general, it's just becoming more and more just exciting to watch. New people play, new strategies develop, new maps get introduced. I'm a big fan of the way this season is turning out so far. I think it's hard to tell who's going to win what right now, but I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks, both as a player and a spectator.
I guess for me, Serpentine starting off 0-3. Not a great look for a team that a lot of people think is very, very good. They definitely have the firepower to do well. So excited to see how they try to bounce back from this. And on the other hand, we saw the resurgence of Hang 10. I think that was really cool. And showing that Hang 10 is here to play, I think is going to be really good for the league. And it's a very entertaining team. Probably, at least in my opinion, one of the most entertaining teams in the league in terms of play style and what they bring to the table. All right, and then a little bit of a sneak peek into week 3. I was interested to see what games you both had on your radars in terms of games in week 3.
Looking into week 3, I'd say that obviously Donut Kingdom versus Impact was a great game, and there's a couple more Donut Kingdom matches on this week that I'm looking forward to. Hang 10 and Riptide. I think it's one of Riptide's first games, so looking forward to see how they continue to play. Also, you've got a couple of Rack Tactics games, which I think will be exciting because I think they've given a hell of a lot more performance than they've been estimated to, especially in Winters and Wavo, who've been putting up absolute numbers, I think, compared to what most people expected of them. So I'm really looking forward to most of the A-League game this week rather. There's also a couple B-League games that I'm looking forward to. I think that another Eternal Rising game will be interesting, but they have to keep up their lossless streak. You've got Shot Glass versus Eclipse, Eclipse versus Infrared, a couple good back-to-back games across the days. So overall, I think there's a lot of high comp games, especially in the A-League, that will be happening this week. So I'm looking forward to that.
I agree. I think it's definitely going to be very interesting to see sort of these games coming up. Friday's got a lot of really good ones. I'm looking really forward to Rat Tactics Party Animals. I think that'll be a very good game. The Lotus games are happening. Some more Lotus games are happening this week as well against Tavern and Party Animals. Those will be very important for them. I also look at Goth Money versus Eternal Rising and Sugar Rush. If they can find a way to go 2-0 in those games, and start bringing their season back, that'd be very important for them to do. But do not doubt Sugar Rush. Do not doubt Eternal Rising. I think those are going to be games that I will definitely be tuned into, at least up in, if I have the time to do it.
All right. Well, I think that just about does it for us here. Do either of you have any things you want to say before we wrap it up?
Not really. Besides, subscribe to YouTube. Do that right now.
Whoa.
Shout out
Do it.
PonyRL. Also, Snaz is an S tier.
Snaz is
Yeah.
an S tier.
Isn't.
Oh, isn't.
Oh, isn't?
Yeah.
Well, it just makes it that much more impressive. All right.
Anyway,
Well,
bro's lying in his
I'm
current
just
name.
hating for the love of the game.
all right. Well, that'll do it for us here today. Thank you, Dig. Thank you, SuitSnap. And we will see you next week after week 3, episode 5. See you next week. Maybe.
Yeah. And I will see Pony Rocket League in my DMs to go make this thumbnail.
They're
Whoa.
flirting in DMs.
Leaking.
I have to leak, bro.